Hello, I'm Colin Sullivan.
And I'm Pepper Raper.
And this is Almost Live, a weekly show designed to give you the who's who and what's what of Telluride and Mountain Village. On today's show, we're going to visit with Patrick Legans, the wine geek food freak, who's going to show us how to make a lovely holiday-themed Brussels sprouts dish. And then we're going to go to a retro ride flashback for a profile on Senior Mahoney, the Mountain's first operations manager.
Catherine Warren brings us the Warren Commission with special guest Shawn Colvin for news on our local music scene and entertainment. We'll also be talking with Bill Jensen of Telluride Ski and Golf and have a conversation with Paul Hokemeyer, a family and addiction therapist, as well as part-time local, and star of Telluride TV's Psy-Ops.
Patrick Latcham will give us the outside scoop with the Telluride Mountain Report. Daiva Chisonas will go undercover with Between the Covers. Katie and Kara from Kodo News will bring us their first ever episode of a brand new series called Kodo Radio Vision News, and we'll see a local profile on two businesses, Cashmere Red and Wagner Custom Skis.
And now let's join Catherine Warren for the Warren Commission with special guest Shawn Colvin.
Hi, I'm Catherine Warren with the Warren Commission, and I'm thrilled to have a special guest with us in the studio today, multi-Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter Shawn Colvin.
Hi.
Welcome, Shawn.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure.
So Shawn is playing the Sheraton Opera House on Friday night to kick off our holiday concert series, and she's a very good friend of the Sheraton Opera Houses, and you love coming to Telluride. What brings you back to Telluride each year, Shawn?
Well, I came here first in '91 for Bluegrass. And that following winter, I was asked to play Opera House, and I like to ski, as you can tell. I'm all ready to go. And, you know, it's not hard to fall in love with this place. Yeah. So since '91, I've been coming back almost every year, one way or the other. Yeah.
I mean, in my 5 years at the Opera House,
I've been there a lot.
I've been here almost every single winter.
Yeah, I'm very lucky.
And people keep coming to the
they
shows,
keep coming.
which is fabulous. They love you.
Coming.
We have all sorts of folks come into our office saying, "What? You've got Shawn Colvin coming," and
that's so nice.
And you're kicking off our holiday concert series.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And we're doing it a little early this year with the way that the weekend falls before Christmas.
Right.
After you play Telluride, what's next for you, Shawn? What's on your agenda?
Well, I'll go home for Christmas and have a couple weeks off. I was really busy this fall. I had celebrated the 20th anniversary of the release of A Few Small Repairs, so I did a 7-week tour with the band.
I love that album.
Thank you. It was really fun. And I'll do a tour in March with Lyle Lovett, the two of us together on stage. Yeah, we've done it a couple times before, and it's a lot of fun.
Great.
And then about 19 years ago, I made a lullaby and holiday songs record.
Oh, fabulous.
And all the songs taken out of a book I was given as a kid of lullabies, and I added some Christmas songs. So I've made another lullaby record, no Christmas songs this time, and that's coming out in February.
Oh, great. Well, what can music fans expect to hear at your show on Friday night?
Well, I'll probably be leaning a little more heavily on A Few Small Repairs, since I woodshedded those songs so much to do this tour. Not sure, though. I like to take requests. It's such an intimate setting, and maybe a Christmas tune or two.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
I know.
Well, tickets are still available online at SheratonOperaHouse.com, and the fabulous Shawn Colvin plays the historic Sheraton Opera House at 8 o'clock on Friday night. So go online and get some tickets, and we'll see you all on Friday night.
Please.
And also happening this week, if you don't make it to Shawn on Friday night, Telluride Theater has 2 more opportunities to see their original play Dinner with Dionysus at the Black Box Theater at the Palm, Friday and Saturday. And then also on Saturday, the Sheraton Opera House switches things over, and we have Warren Miller's latest ski film, Drop Everything, playing at 6 and 9 o'clock. And then if you're out and about Saturday night looking for some great live music, The Flyover plays at the Liberty around 10, and that features local musicians Tom Nading, Claybrook Penn, and the Wyatt Listrom, and they are so much fun, kind of a rock power trio. So we hope to see you at some of these events this weekend. And up next, we have a promo from fabulous local retailers, Cashmere Red.
Cashmere Red is a Scottish men's and women's cashmere boutique. We specialize in Scottish cashmere, which is the best quality cashmere. So we run the gamut from classic to contemporary styles. Blankets, so we have houseware, even a cuddly teddy bear. In our men's collection, I think one of the most spectacular pieces that we have is this men's blazer. The cashmere is actually knit in Scotland, and it's got this beautiful nep to it. And then it's assembled in Italy, so it's a beautiful Italian tailoring. So we are using only the very longest and the very finest fibers, which creates the best quality cashmere. So our wispy weight scarves are really one of the most unique things in the shop. The cashmere is spun with a filament that's water soluble and is milled out, and then you're left with this, which is, as one of my staff members say, it's like wearing a cloud. When you're in a cashmere store, it's a tactile experience, and you want to feel and touch, and you want to be embraced by all the cashmere. I always knew that I wanted to open a boutique in Telluride, but I wanted it to be a niche business. And when I started studying cashmere, I thought that it was fascinating, and I took a trip to Scotland, and 2 years later, I opened Cashmere Red. We love meeting people, we love hearing your story, and we look forward to seeing you.
That was a great little piece on Cashmere Red there. Check them out down in Telluride and the Main Street. And now, we're here with Bill Jensen, the CEO of Telluride Ski and Golf. Bill, how are you doing?
Good morning.
Morning.
It's great to be here.
Tell me a little bit about you. Where did you come from? How did you get here? All those kind of things. What have you been doing before?
Well, I grew up in Southern California. Really didn't ski until I was 20. And when I graduated from college, unfortunately, my parents told me it was time to move out. So I went to Mammoth to kind of buy 4 or 5 months to figure out where my life was going to go. And it's kind of a fun story. Is my first season, I started as a lift operator, so I started as the bottom.
Wow.
But Mammoth asked me to stay on in a year-round capacity, and got a couple promotions, and I actually realized that I was passionate about the ski industry and the business of skiing, and made a commitment to myself that I didn't share with anybody, that my goal was to run a ski area by the time I was 40.
Wow.
And I achieved it at 38 years old. And I feel blessed that I've had the ability to work in the ski industry for more than 40 years, and obviously works for some of the big companies that are in the industry now, both Bell Resorts and Intrawest. But I've known about Telluride for a long time. I first skied here in 1983.
Wow.
But when Chuck Horning bought Telluride in 2003, I became acquainted with Chuck, and Chuck and I had numerous conversations, over the 10 or 15 years, 10 plus years, and he always was, Bill, I'd really like you to come to Telluride, and I always said, I'm on a different path, Chuck. And finally, the opportunity, there was a window, and I said, Chuck, I'm either going to go ride my bicycle for the next 10 years, or I can work some more, and I would love to, if you still would like me to take a look at Telluride, I would love to come here. And the reason I do is because I really understand the special nature of Telluride. This is a very unique resort in comparison to the rest of the industry, and I'm fairly knowledgeable about what all the other resorts offer. And I think that we sit, I hate to use the word niche, but we're special, and I think there's a really a big opportunity to build on that special, unique nature of Telluride and make it the best resort in North America.
Well, I mean, we really appreciate you being here, and especially in this year, because Telluride is a little dry this year. But somebody tells me the other day they're skiing 6.
Yep.
How did you do that?
Well,
there's no snow here.
Unfortunately, there's no snow in any Western United States ski resort, so we're not the only one in this boat. But the company, to its credit, has made a really significant investment in snowmaking over the last 5 or 6 years, and we're talking probably something in close to the $15 million range. I'm not so sure that if we hadn't made that investment, we would even have skiing here in early December. So, but you know, you can buy all the technology, but you still have to have the people. And I have to tell you, our snowmaking crew is fantastic, but also our mountain operations crew that, you know, when I go up there and ski and I look at the grooming and I look at the work the patrol does to make the environment safe, I look at the terrain parks that our team is building and what we're offering, you know, I'm proud. You know, it's obviously a challenging situation, but, you know, we continue to keep our head down and work at it, and, you know, working with, you know, the staff and our team, what I'm saying is, you know, guys, it's about the experience, and we're going to deliver the best experience we can every single day. And, you know, we're doing it, and, you know, we're hearing the guest comments about, they're surprised about how good the skiing is. And, you know, one of the choices that we made is we really did not focus on trying to make snow at 29 or 30 degrees, because what happens there is the snow you do make has a higher water content, which leads to that kind of hard surface. So we've been waiting until the temperatures drop into the lower 20s, and then we make snow, and because of the technology we have, we actually can make more snow at those temperatures.
So that's why the snow is so good.
And that's why the snow is good. And so it was a conscious decision to make a higher quality snow. I'm pleased, you know, the guest response is really positive about it, and you know, we're excited to share the skiing we do have, you know, with our holiday crowd coming up.
Well, I mean, I'm excited to get out there over the holidays, because back east, we actually, ice skating and skiing are the same thing. So anything.
I go, it's both called skiing, they're just different sports.
Yeah. So do any, before we go, I just want to know, do you share the fact that you were a lifty?
Oh yeah, you know, and you know, in my career, I had the opportunity to do 2 IPOs and ring the bell on Wall Street. You know, that's it's like a special thing. I'm sure I'm the only lift operator that's ever done that.
God, that is amazing.
So, but you know, it's a nice story, because the reality of this business, and I think everybody that works in it, we all start at the bottom, you know, and you earn your way up. And you know, what I realized, you know, when I was 23 or 24 was, I really was passionate about just the business itself, but the opportunity to work with the guest, and you know, to work in an environment where all your customers are on vacation is a whole lot better than, you know, working in a courtroom or something like that where everybody's angry at each other. So you know, I'm proud of the fact that I started as a lift operator, and I always wonder how good I was, you know, because I really don't remember. But obviously it attracted somebody's attention, and it turned out, you know, to be an incredible career and an incredible life, and meeting incredible people.
Well, that's great. That's a lovely thing to close on, Bill. We're really happy that you're here. We're really excited, you know, that you guys have invested in all this technology, the snowmaking, because we actually have skiing here, and it's actually good. It's not a lot, but it's something, and people are happy.
Well, and the other thing, you know, I'd share, because everybody's worried about climate change, and I'm worried about it. These investments in technology have actually lowered our carbon footprint of about 15%. And the primary outcome of that has been the snowmaking investment. So we're more efficient, we use less power, we create less of a carbon footprint.
Wow.
So in many ways, there's more wins from this investment than the fact that we're out skiing on 4, 5, and 6. So
that's great. Thanks a lot for joining us today,
Bill.
Thanks,
Colin. Great.
And we'll see you around.
Thank you. Have fun.
Telluride TV is a local public access channel, and because of that, we depend on public support for our programming. We want to give a special shout out to some of our most generous supporters, the towns of Telluride and Mountain Village, the Telluride Foundation, and the Telluride Ski and Golf Company. Thanks a lot, guys. We couldn't do what we do without what you do. And now, over to Patrick Legans, the Wine Geek Food Freak, for a delicious dish.
Hi, I'm Patrick Legans, the Wine Geek Food Freak. I want to show you something to do with Brussels sprouts today. So I have my nice clean Brussels sprouts. I'm going to put them in my nice extra virgin olive oil already heated up. Brussels sprouts, first from the Mediterranean in the 5th century, moved up towards Brussels in the 9th. Super high in vitamin C, vitamin K. I'm then going to add some toasted pine nuts, and some dried cranberries. You're picking up these holiday colors. That's kind of why I like it for the holidays. I'm gonna add a pinch of sea salt, and I'm gonna toss. As soon as these get seared, we'll be done. It's that simple, that quick. If you feel as though that the oil is toasting too much, you can always take a little bit of the white wine you're drinking while you're making the food and pour just a little bit in there. That's going to extend the life of the cooking time. All right, those are just about perfect right there. So this dish will pick up those beautiful sweetness from the dried cranberries, a nice toasted nutty flavor from the pine nuts, and then of course, the star of the show, some beautiful Brussels sprouts. There you have it. Enjoy. Until next time, remember all you need is good ingredients, some care, and a minute of your time, and you can eat like me, Patrick Legans, the wine geek, food freak.
This is Patrick Latcham with your Telluride Mountain Report. Today, we're going to talk about some terrain openings, on-mountain activities, take a look at the weather, and catch up with local musicians, Cousin Curtis and Derek. First, terrain openings. I'm happy to announce that the Meadows Trail is now open. This is great news for all of our beginner skiers. We also opened the ski in and ski access to the Peaks Resort and Spa. So now, lifts 1, 4, 5, and 6 are open for the season. We also opened up Alpino Vino for lunch. So all on-mountain restaurants are now open, with the exception of High Camp. The ski resort has also started snowmaking on the town side and anticipates ski in, ski out access by late December. And now, some on-mountain activities that are coming right up. The Christmas Eve Torchlight Parade is going to be skiing down into the Mountain Village side this year. So the Base of 4 and the Ski Valet is going to be a prime place for viewing. Also, Altezza, right here at the Peaks, is hosting a Christmas Day buffet, which is going to be from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. and is $49 per person. And on Sunday, there's a free beer tasting at Garano Ranch on Sunday afternoon. This is being hosted by our great sponsor, Sweetwater Brewing. And obviously, it's only for people that are 21 and up. And now, let's take a look at the weather. And we're back with local musicians and on-mountain performers, Cousin Curtis and Derek. Derek, Curtis, thanks for joining us here today.
Thanks for having us.
Glad to be here.
Awesome. So how's the winter been for you guys so far?
Not bad, actually. I feel like Garano's still picking up, and Tomboy's pretty great as well.
Yeah, there's been some great crowds showing up, more than we thought, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's fantastic. And then, so what is your schedule like for the rest of the winter? When are you guys playing, and where can people check you out?
So it's pretty consistent right now. Derek is there at Garano every Friday, or Thursday and Friday.
Thursday, Friday, Monday.
Yep. And I'm at Garano Saturday, Sunday, and Tuesday. And then I'm at Tomboy Tavern on Friday and Thursday and Friday.
Yeah. And I'm there just Saturdays.
Just Saturday.
Okay. Well, that's a lot of live music on the mountain.
Yeah.
I mean, that's covering pretty much every day of the week between all of you guys at Garano and Tomboy Tavern.
I think that's what we were going for. Like, people really dig that consistency. So every day there's something to see, and it's different because everybody's got different dynamics.
Yeah, if we miss a day, they definitely ask where we are,
We get
where
hate
the music
mail.
is. So
Yeah.
we do.
And I've actually seen that too. I was over at Tomboy Tavern, and I saw some people who saw you at Garano earlier, and they were like, yeah, we heard him at Garano, and we needed to come over here just to check it out.
Yeah.
So I think that's so cool that, I mean, you know, people are going to Tomboy just to see you guys,
Definitely.
and it adds so much, you know, good energy to the spot.
I would agree.
Absolutely.
And then I gotta ask, Cousin Curtis is a bit of an interesting name. Any background story about how you got that or how it stuck?
Yeah, long story short, I was in college, and one of my older cousins had already been in the town that I was going to school at, and she and her friends would adopt me from the dorms. Basically, they'd steal me on the weekends and sneak me into bars and house parties, and all I had to do was just play music for them. So even after she left town, and some of her friend group did as well, I was still, oh, is your cousin Curtis playing tonight? Who's playing? Oh, it's cousin Curtis. And so it just kind of stuck.
How would you guys describe your music, your style, and genre?
Sure. I'd say that for starters, we're both very high energy, and we like playing to a crowd that's engaged and wants to have a good time and cut loose. I mean, that's what Garano is for, of course. I'd say personally my style is a little bit on the rootsier side, blues and bluegrass. And then Derek, I'm not sure.
I like, we get the loop thing going, we get the drum machines in there, we get the percussion going, and I'd say I'm kind of hip-hop centric. I like R&B and hip-hop and stuff, but definitely have a lot of covers that I play, and we just get the party started. It's fun. We have a good time.
With just one person, we try to, I don't know, make it seem as full band as possible.
Yeah.
No, you guys certainly do that, with what you're doing with the loops and the harmonica, the acoustic guitar, and the vocals. I mean, it all just comes together beautifully. I mean, I love seeing it, and excited other people get to check it out. So we got Derek and Cousin Curtis here. Be sure to stop by Garano and Tomboy Tavern to see him perform live. And guys, thanks for coming in and catching up.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us,
Appreciate it,
Matt.
Cheers.
Thanks for having us.
Season's greetings from Between the Covers Bookstore, Telluride's indie bookshop since 1974. Aside from having affordable and portable gifts for everyone on your list, we've got 3 great literary events to finish out the year. On Friday, December 22nd, at 4:30 p.m. till 6 p.m., right here in the bookstore, we're going to have a book launch party for 2 local authors that have new books. First up, Craig Childs and his book, Flying Home. It is a timely homage to the Colorado Plateau. It's chock full of essays, journal sketches, and stunning photography. His books, Animal Dialogues, House of Rain, and Secret Knowledge of Water are perennial bestsellers at Telluride, so we're psyched to have him back in the house. Joining him will be debut author Mary Lynn Chambers. She's created a children's book called Lolly the Ice Cream Truck, and it's about rehabbing an old, broken down ice cream truck and bringing it back to life and bringing back that tradition of ice cream on the streets in the summer for the kids. Next up after that, we have our last literary event of the year, and it is a biggie. On December 28th, that's a Thursday, at 5:30 p.m. at the Palm, the Telluride Education Foundation is bringing in Amy Cuddy. She is the author of Presence, bringing your boldest self to your biggest challenges. If her name sounds familiar, she's been viewed, her TED Talk from 2012, over 43 million times. It is the second most viewed TED Talk ever. All proceeds from that will go to the Telluride School District to help the students and the teachers keep their programs going. And do remember that an inscribed book is a very thoughtful gift. And back in the cafe, they're making eggnog lattes. Perfect pairing for book shopping. So we hope to catch you reading Between the Covers.
Welcome back. We are here with another one of our guests, Dr. Paul Hokemeyer, a part-time Telluride resident. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, how you ended up in Telluride?
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me on the show again. My name's Dr. Paul Hokemeyer. People call me Dr. Paul because Dr. Paul Hokemeyer is very complicated on a number of different levels. I came to Telluride probably around 20 years ago now, 17 years ago.
Oh,
exactly.
nice.
So it'll be my 17th holiday here in Telluride. Came here with my husband, Jim Johnson, and we were living in New York City, and Jim has a long history of being here. When Jim and I got together, I kind of discovered Telluride and fell in love with the community. At the time, I was actually working in the environmental movement. I was working for Greenpeace International, living in Europe, and I decided to come back to America when I met Jim and started studying psychology. I first got a degree, master's degree in clinical psychology with a focus on family systems because I was interested in how families interact with one another. And then I went on and got a PhD in psychology, and my practice has been primarily in New York City, working with families and couples around all of the issues that arise
Yeah.
in those relationships.
And do you split time between New York and LA as well?
We have a house in Los Angeles.
Okay.
I'm licensed to practice psychotherapy in New York City and Colorado. I just got a Colorado
Oh,
license,
congratulations.
so thank you.
Well, speaking of family and family dynamics, the holidays are a big time for families to get together.
Absolutely.
What kind of tips do you give people or recommendations for the holiday time?
You know, the holidays, everyone says they're so stressful, and in fact they are. And I think they're stressful because we get pulled in so many different directions.
Yeah.
And my advice to the people that I work with is be intentional about the holidays. Come up with one thing that you want the holidays to represent. So I'll start with you. What's the one thing that you would like for the holidays to represent for you?
I really love spending time with family and loved ones, you know, and I love what you're saying about being intentional because there are so many distractions nowadays with tablets and phones, and also I feel like with families a lot of times you're going back home, so you want to see your friends when you're home too. So, you know, the kids might be leaving the house to go see their friends from high school because they're home from college, or, you know, other distractions like that can come up. So.
And we get pulled, you know, we get so many different cultural messages about what the holidays should be. When I was driving up here, I heard an advertisement for saying something about cash is the best gift that you can give. And I thought, well, wait a minute, isn't like quality relationships, isn't spending time, quality time with people the best gift that you can give? So we have to make sure that we get really intentional about how we spend our time during the holidays, because we'll get crazy.
Yeah. And you also work with addiction too, right? Do you see problems with people during the holidays or New Year's?
You know, the holidays, people tend to think it's like a license to overindulge. So, New Year's
Wait,
Eve,
you mean I can't eat all the cookies I want?
well, probably not. Not if you really want to feel good about yourself the next day.
True.
You feel free to. But know that there'll be consequences. So I think that we forget about the consequences, and we feel that we have this license to spend too much money, drink too much, eat too much, sort of run ourselves ragged. And so just remember that, you know, the holidays are a time to be intentional and focused and put self-care as first care.
Oh, that's great. So because you're now licensed in Colorado, have you heard about or worked with a lot of like mental stress or mental problems with ski towns? There's been a lot of talk recently, especially in this town, regarding mental health.
There's a huge issue in these rural areas because first having access to proper mental health services, there's a real shortage, particularly in San Miguel County. There's a higher incidence of substance abuse. People tend to overindulge with alcohol and drugs. And then of course there's the huge problem with suicide. And there have been some studies that have looked at why that is, and has a lot to do with expectations. It has a lot to do with community. So there's a huge need for competent mental health services in these rural communities. And you know, it's important to sort of say that there's stuff that we can be doing as a community, that we don't need to wait for the right clinician to come into the community, that we can be more aware of each other, and we can become aware of each other, particularly when we see somebody getting into trouble. If we think that somebody's depressed, we can intervene in them in a sort of a loving, caring way. So there's things that we can do as a community and in relationships to help deal with these issues.
As like citizens in a small mountain town, what suggestions do you have for people who've got friends who they think might be struggling with depression or substance abuse issues, or, you know, what is a good way to approach them?
You know, the best way to approach it is from like a me-centric view, because these things, there's so much shame and stigma attached around them, particularly in a mountain town where we live in such an extraordinarily beautiful place, and we think, well, I'm depressed, something's wrong with me, right?
I'm not allowed to be unhappy.
Exactly.
I live in the best place ever.
I live in this amazing place, and so then there's this shame that sets in, and it's always important to allow somebody the space to come to be themselves. But to do that, you have to give them permission to be vulnerable, and the best way to do that is by modeling vulnerability yourself, which can be kind of tough. You know, we live in this cowboy tough town. Everyone here is tough. And
or, you know, they're climbing mountains and they're hiking and running on the jean.
Right, exactly. So just to recognize that there's extraordinary strength in vulnerability.
That's very true. That's a really good point.
And we have to remember that and share our vulnerability with other people.
How we can be strong in other ways.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your tips.
Thank you.
It was great having you on today.
It's a pleasure. It's good to be here. Thanks.
Dr. Paul partners with Telluride TV to also produce Psy-Ops. You can catch more of those episodes online and on Channel 12. Telluride TV has 30 years of archival video records, everything from community events like 4th of July Parade to lip sync and the Telluride AIDS benefit fashion shows, children's theater, and festival interviews. We'll be showing those throughout the winter, so make sure to stay tuned. Next up, we've got 82 winners, a profile of Senior Mahoney.
If I ain't helpless. Goddamn pain in the ass if I ever seen it. Jesus Christ, that's hard to thread. Ah, you son of a bitch. All right, here we go. They really don't know where the name Telluride come from. The old timers claim it come from tellurium ore, which is a gold-bearing ore. And now the goddamn mine closed down, and so whatever. I shouldn't cuss you, man.
So how old were you when you started working in the mine?
15. I don't know how to describe it. It's a way of life that you can't ever do again. I tell you, the worst thing was the noise. And we put cotton in our ears. Think that helped? Hell, it didn't help a bit. And it's just the guys that you meet. They were a lot of big liars like me. I wished I was young to go back and do it again.
So you knew the mountain pretty well. You had skied.
Oh, hell, I spent my life down there panning gold in Prospect Creek and skiing and hunting, and that was my home. I was a skier for about 82 years. I remember one time over on Grizzly Gulch, I was coming down there and my brother was over there, my brother Bob, and I hit a bump. And he said, he says, that was the damnedest thing I ever seen. He says, there you were up there with 2 ski poles, and he says, no skis on them. I just pulled right out of the wood. Boy, I crashed. From Snaffles to Imogene Pass to back in the Bridal Veil Basin, over in Columbine Lake, all the valleys there in the Ophir area, just any place there was snow. We were gun shy of avalanches, We didn't have the fancy stuff they have now. That, of course, that fancy stuff don't necessarily go to save you. But the thing that is, when you're out on a pair of skis and coming down through the powder, you don't care about those things. You just say whoopee whoopee, away we go. Oh, I guess my favorite spot was, I think they call it Can't Make 'em now. We had about 50 inches of snow fell. That snow was so goddamn deep on the front hillside. Coming down like that, you was plowing clear up to your neck. Oh, it's definitely an addiction. It's worse than smoking marijuana.
Do you miss it now?
Oh boy, immensely, Jesus. I think about those people having fun out there, and here I am sitting on a couch watching TV or some stupid thing. I tell you, the worst thing that bothered me, and Joe Zoline addressed that. He says, I ought to buy a good proportion of this town. Because he said, what's going to happen? He says, property's going to be so valuable, the working class is not going to be able to live here, and it sure as hell is true.
So you felt like the town needed something?
Oh, no question about it. Telluride was dying. It was certainly dying. We'd had probably a little bit of tourist trade in the summer, but who in the heck would want to come here in the winter with no ski area, no nothing? Not even me. I'd have been long gone. We had to have something that would make the economy in Telluride viable, and it sure as heck did. Because I still get back to it. Mining doesn't last forever. But hopefully it'll snow forever. We'll have a skier here forever, but you never know about that. I fell in the creek.
And that was a pretty interesting retro ride there on our local celebrity, Senior Mahoney. That one is called 82 Winters, and that's by Ben Knight and Travis Rummel of Felt Soul Media. They've done some really amazing films for us here over the years. Damnation, Red Gold. Check it out. Check out Felt Soul Media online. And speaking of online, if you have your own retro ride videos, you can send them to us at tim@TellurideTV.org or just tag us at Telluride TV.
Now we're going to have our first ever episode of Radio Vision News with Kara Pallone and Katie Cleansborn of Kodo. And stay tuned after for a profile on Wagner skis. Hi, I'm Kara.
And I'm Katie. And we're the Kodo News team.
It's the week before Christmas, which means
warm-hearted stories about giving.
Sort of. On this installment of Radio Vision, our first story takes us to the Telluride Food Bank, where they've seen an influx of customers or people who are coming due to the lack of snow. They maybe just aren't getting the hours that they need. Their work is tied to the ski industry or to hospitality or something to do with the winter season, and so they're just slammed down there. So that was something that we reported this week.
How will the late start to winter impact our economy?
That's a good question, and I don't think anyone really knows how this season will shake out, but I did talk with the executive director of the Colorado Association of Ski Towns this week, and she said that with destination places like Telluride, we likely will see less impacts in the short term just because people have booked so far in advance. They'll be here for the holiday season and that first week of January. Whereas like drive-to resorts like in Summit County, Breckenridge, they're really seeing the impacts because people can make a decision not to go or to go. Yeah, day
Right.
And but she did say, looking out, perhaps like spring break, we could be more affected just because people might be more inclined to book somewhere else, seeing how our conditions are here.
And so how is the ski resort handling this?
That's another good question. I actually spoke with CEO Bill Jensen, and I know that he also is featured on this program for this installment as well. But he said, that the weather is obviously not something that they can control, and he's incredibly proud of his team from mountain ops to hospitality, food and beverage. They're all doing the very best they can to provide for that guest experience over the holiday season, and they're committed to making it a great season for guests and locals alike. Enough about the weather. What's new in the world of news for you, Katie?
Well, there are several new faces in local government, from school board members who were sworn in last week to new town council, and then there's some administrators, and one of those administrators is David Averill. He's the new ED of the San Miguel Authority for Regional Transportation, SMART. It's our little shortcut there. And he came into Kodo last week for a long interview just about his background, kind of long-term goals, and the unique challenges of transportation in the Telluride region.
He sounds like a really awesome guy. I enjoyed listening to that interview. He's funny and outgoing and seems like a perfect fit. I think he mentioned that he had ridden out to Lawson Hill like 3 times or something in one day, or
yeah,
very active.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a perfect fit. He's a huge bike rider. He's got a whole stable of bicycles, and actually one of the things he told me is that it was his experience as a competitive cyclist, traveling around the country for bike races and then riding in all these cities, that kind of made him look at different transportation facilities and policies and the way different places do transportation.
Pretty sweet gig. What's his first order of business with SMART?
Well, it literally was turning on the lights in his office because the power was not on.
And his office, if you walked by, when we walked by, had a desk, a pencil,
a chair.
And a chair.
I think a chair, yeah. I think they're going to get some curtains there, too.
Yeah.
So he's also been, meeting with town government officials, working on a lot of these intergovernmental agreements, and then just kind of educating himself on Telluride and its transit landscape.
Did he talk about his long-term, ultimate long-term goals for our region?
Yeah, he did. And, you know, he uses the model of RAFTA, the Roaring Fork Transportation Authority, as kind of something to look up and aspire to be. It's the transportation authority that serves Aspen and the Roaring Fork Valley. It's hugely popular. People have a ton of loyalty and they really have a lot of pride in it. And he wants Telluride to establish something like that, even if it's not as big, which it wouldn't likely be.
Right.
But the loyalty of the ridership.
Excellent. Well, thanks for that update.
You're
And
welcome.
ahead, we have a couple of highlights in our news world. Every Tuesday, we host a program called Off the Record. It's at 6 o'clock here on Kodo. It's live on the air. And on the 26th, I'll be hosting a show on the Me Too movement. Biggest story of the year, Time magazine cover. So feel free to call in and join the conversation for that show. And then you'll be hosting one the week after on the 2nd, right?
Right, and for that show, it's going to be kind of looking ahead. So we'll invite a bunch of organizations or representatives or agencies to talk about big projects that are either having large developments or coming online in 2018. So should be a good update on what's happening in our community.
Awesome. I think that about does it for this installment of Radio Vision.
A reminder to viewers to listen to Kodo at 6 p.m. every night on weekdays and 8 a.m. for the rebroadcast.
And 9 a.m. on Saturday so you can sleep in.
Until next time, try to stay out of the news.
Or at least make it a good story.
We help people ski their best by making sure they're on their perfect fit equipment. So every single ski is optimized for the individual, and the benefit is performance. If you're on a ski that fits you properly, it improves your balance, comfort, control. You ski with better power and efficiency. It really just makes skiing easier and more fun. So in early 2017, we opened up a new factory just steps away from the chairlifts in the mountain village. You can walk by and actually see us building the skis from the outside. So the first step of our process is to go through our fitting system. It starts at wagnerskis.com. Then you have an interview with the ski designer. Once you work with a ski designer, we figure out what is your perfect geometry. You choose the graphics. At that point, your skis will go into our production process. The first things that we do are we mill the wood cores of the skis and the sidewall sticks. Then we'll cut the base material and pull whatever kind of structural layers are in the ski. Then we'll bend the steel edges. We take all of the different components of the ski, wet them out with an epoxy resin system, and then we put them into a heated press. They'll cook into our press for about 30 minutes, and we pull them out. At that point, we'll have a block, and then it turns into how do we extract a beautiful pair of skis out of this block. So we cut the skis out with a bandsaw by hand. We'll grind the base, bevel the base and sidewall edges, then we wax the skis, check the tune, make sure everything's set up properly, put bindings on them, and then we ship them out, or people can come in and pick them up in person. We think it's a smarter way to buy skis because you work with an expert ski designer, we'll figure out what your perfect equipment is, we build that product, and then fully guarantee it. At Wagner Custom Skis, we strive to make your mountain dreams through perfect fitting equipment.
Well, Almost Live is almost over.
And if you missed any of the show, fear not, because Almost Live airs every day, morning, midday, and in the evening. And you can always catch it on Telluride TV's YouTube channel.
From all of us here at Telluride TV, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. And we're all wishing for snow. See you next week.